The Solicitor-General has found Scott Morrison did not break the law during the secret ministries scandal, but the report has found the secrecy by the former Prime Minister fundamentally undermined the practice of responsible government. Let's bring in Trudy McIntosh. Trudy, just take us through the key findings first of the Solicitor-General's report and also the Prime Minister's response.
Ash, 29-page response from the Solicitor-General released in full today by the Prime Minister Anthony Albanese says it's deeply concerning what the Solicitor-General has found here. There's two key parts to this report. First, it finds here, and we can show you the crucial paragraph, that Scott Morrison, in taking responsibility for these 5 department areas, was not breaking the law. It says, while I consider that Mr Morrison's appointment to administer the Department of Science, Energy and Resources was valid, that is not to say that the absence of any notification of that appointment to the Parliament, the public, the other ministers administering the department or the department itself was consistent with the principle of responsible government that is inherent in Chapter 2 of the Constitution. He goes on to say, in my opinion, it was not. Further down in the report, he then goes on to say that the end result of Mr Morrison's action, to the extent that the public, the Parliament, are not informed of the appointments that have been made under Section 64 of the Constitution, the principles of responsible government are fundamentally undermined. The Solicitor-General has also laid out some recommendations for how to prevent this happening again. He said there could be changes in terms of the ministry lists that are placed out by governments, also changes to how appointments are gazetted. He says that also the government should consider whether they make this a legislative change to ensure that it is binding on future governments. On that point, Prime Minister Albanese appears to indicate he's open to making this sort of change.
Well, I've directed my department to work with the Office of the Governor-General to achieve that outcome. But I think one of the things that we will need to consider is any future legislative change to make sure that that's enshrined, to make sure that it's not dependent upon the goodwill of the government of the day.
So, Trudy, as for the political consequences, this is really just the beginning. The Prime Minister has revealed there'll be another inquiry.
There will be another inquiry. Cabinet had agreed to that today, the Prime Minister has revealed, but in terms of the actual detail of who is going to chair this inquiry, that is still to be determined by Cabinet, but the Prime Minister indicates it will be an eminent person from a legal background. He says it's going to look into the full circumstances behind this, go through the timeline, the implications, whether there's any future legal consequences. We don't know when this will start, though, when it will end, and what it will in fact uncover. This is the Prime Minister, though, on why the inquiry is needed.
Well, there are a range of different options available to the government, but it's agreed that it would be good. It needs to be not a political inquiry, but an inquiry with an eminent person with a legal background to consider all of the implications.
Ahead of the release of this report this morning, the Deputy Prime Minister Richard Marles told Sky News there will be severe political consequences for Mr Morrison's actions. It's unclear what that in practice really means. That was put to the Prime Minister again this afternoon. He didn't have any clear answer to that question. There's been the speculation, Ash, about a potential censure motion when Parliament returns next month. But on that point, Anthony Albanese won't be drawn on the government's position whether they would vote in favour of that. This morning, we had opposition MPs also unwilling to say how they'll vote when they haven't seen the motion.